What's up, guys? Welcome to another wonderful episode of Comics Remixed. I'm Junior.
I'm David.
We're still us.
And you're still you,
He
hopefully.
grew a beard this time. He's trying to copy me. Next thing I'll copy him and try to get a hairline.
And I wore a different shirt, except my beard is a lot more manly. It's more full and thicker than yours.
I gotta trim mine, actually. I'm not wearing my costume without trimming it.
Yours looks like a chink, like a teenager's. I was gonna say a chink. I don't know why.
Let's start the show off with some racism.
I'm not racist. That's like
it's like
weird.
that Big Bang Theory episode I was watching the other night where they honor Sheldon at the college and he gets drunk for the first time because he can't give speeches in front of large crowds.
Oh, yeah.
And he's singing the periodic table song and he's like, just the Asians!
Yeah.
Alright, guys.
That's how I meant it.
Yeah. We're going to get this ball rolling. New York Comic Con was last weekend. We're here now to tell you the top 10 announcements according to Newsarama. We have to go by their word because we weren't there, obviously. But before we begin that, I want to give you a quick side note here. One of the side notes.
I wasn't. Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Alright, I don't know what he's talking about. He's withholding the script from
He has not seen the script yet. Once we get through number 10, he can have the script.
Which also justifies a lot of the racial slurs I might be saying.
Only because, look, if we talk about something off camera, then when I go ahead and say it, he's not going to have that genuine reaction. And trust me, I want you guys to see his face when you guys hear number 10.
Alright.
Alright, well, on the side note, and this is kind of leading into number 10, actually. Uncanny Avengers, number 1, sold over 300,000 copies.
You know what? First of all, amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But I could see it.
It is
was
uncanny.
A good book. No, it was a good book. It's like comic spec. I don't know how to. It's just that feeling. It was comics back to comics.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
It was just. It's surprising for a Marvel book to do that well right now.
Yeah.
You know.
To beat the crap out of DC, basically.
Yeah, and for any, if this book was any indication of what Marvel now has coming forward, in the next 2 weeks with November coming around the corner is when most of the relaunches start beginning, then we're in for a great ride.
Yeah, if you haven't picked it up, you should expect great writing, great drama, and a twist.
Speaking of twists, check this out. Number 10 out of the top 10 announcements for San Diego Comic-Con. You ready for this, dude?
No. Alright.
Pre-order sales. 90,100 copies. IDW's My Little Pony.
What?
Over 90,000 pre-orders.
What?
Now, how big of that is it? How big is of the? I can't even talk. I'm so like. How big of a deal?
It's the bronies, man.
How big of a deal is that? Okay. First of all, kudos to IDW.
Yeah.
Second of all, it's My Little Pony. Seriously, 90,000 copies. You know what that really means? If that book would have shipped in the month of September, it would have been the number 4 book of the month. The only other books that would have beat it were AVX, Batman, and Justice League. That's it. Then number 4 would have been My Little Pony.
Have you and your daughter jumped on the My Little Pony craze?
No, my daughter's still not in that age where she knows how to hold a book.
Sadie, I mean I forgot the writer of that cartoon, but there is some type of humor there.
Right.
That kind of gets adult, where it's like, whoa, a pony just did a pony just do what I think it did?
Okay.
You know, like they'll make like little things like some crazy dragon thing that makes it rain chocolate milk, but it's chocolate rain. Yeah, and of course you can't explain that to your daughter, but on top of that, you're getting all these bronies, basically guys that like the ponies.
Yeah.
And that could be another thing too. That's just a whole other thing.
Yeah.
It's just this craze over it, and I don't get it. In the end, it's just a My Little Pony cartoon.
90,000 copies. The number 4 book of the month, if it would have shipped in September, beating out Green Lantern, Spider-Man, any X-Men book, any Avengers book.
My mind cannot justify it at all.
Beating out Walking Dead.
More importantly, did they say which was the higher demographic? in
No,
the pre-orders?
they didn't.
Whether it was boys or girls?
Doesn't matter because the pre-order, you don't count pre-orders that way. You count them by shop.
I know, but also it might say has IDW finally found that way to really reach out to the female audience?
I have no idea, but I guess we'll find out when.
Or is this just a bunch of pervs getting a little
it-
pony boy?
Who knows? We'll find out when it ships in November, I believe.
Yeah.
And now David can look at the rest of the script.
Okay. It
Not
doesn't
much
have to be
it.
either or. I mean, it could just mean, hey, this is the next gen of readers, These.
I can see myself CG seeing, dude, I gotta have a 9/8 My Little Pony #1. Can you imagine that?
Yeah.
All right, moving on. Number 9. Go ahead, David.
David S. Goyer and Jeff Johns working on 13th-issue DC event.
Oh yeah. Was that how I wrote?
Thank you. Yes, that's all you wrote for that.
Oh, well, what that means, nobody knows. That's why I didn't write it.
Okay,
There's no
alright.
detail to it. Now for those, if you guys know your name, let's play the name game. David S. Goyer, screenwriter for Blade, screenwriter for Batman Begins, screenwriter for Man of Steel, and a lot more other comic book movies. Everybody knows Jeff Johns. They've worked together before in Hollywood, on Smallville, and on remember the book, the JSA JLA team up, Virtue and Vice.
That was a good one.
They
I
both
really
did that. They
that was
co-wrote
one of my
that.
favorites.
So they've announced a DC event for next year, 2013. It's gonna be a 13-issue miniseries. No details were given yet, so that's something to look forward to.
Okay. Are we seeing like this is gonna be their next movie event, like their the next scripted fiasco?
No, I don't see that.
Okay.
I hope not.
Number 8, you got Dynamite. Dynamite made it on this top 10. It scores major talent.
Yep. Rick Remender. I can never say his name, even though it's so
Remender.
simple. I know that's what I mean.
Okay.
Rick Remender and Paul Renard are doing a book called Devolution. Devolution is a return to the pulp grindhouse sci-fi that I built a career on, starting with Fear Agent. And that's a quote from Rick himself. More projects include Mark Waid on Green Hornet. I bought the first Green Hornet issue when Dynamite relaunched it and Kevin Smith was plotting it, I believe.
Yeah.
I don't even remember if I read it. Excuse me, I'm a little gassy.
He still left me hanging at the Black Cat.
That
Spider-Man
came
thing.
out. They finished it, right?
Yeah, they finished it with Nightcrawler.
Yeah. The hell with that. Finish Daredevil Target.
Hey, wait. Did Daredevil Father ever finish?
That was Quesada doing it.
But that, I know, but that.
Yeah, I finished it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
It was a few months late. It wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
Better a few months than a couple of years.
True that. Amen.
Almost a decade for that Daredevil.
Well, they got Garth Ennis.
Yep. Well, he's
Oh.
already kind of writing for Dynamite. Well, he started. He was doing Jennifer Blood and.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
He's writing The Shadow right now. Him and Andy Diggle are going to continue to do more crime books for Dynamite.
Yeah. See, with Dynamite, I mostly like when I think about Jennifer Blood, I think about the artists on there. They have great illustration talent on that.
That book is just crazy. That book was.
I remember now. Yeah, you were
Shocker of the week.
showing me the scenes where they pull the guy's guts out. Yeah. Very good.
Yeah, because you get guys' guts pulled out. No, that book made it on the list last week for best shocking book or something like that. I don't remember the exact category, but it was on our list. So go check it out. I can't give any spoilers to that book. That's just one that you cannot ask somebody what's going on besides you say a female Punisher that is trying to protect her family
Okay.
and will do anything she has to do. That's all I gotta say.
Number 7, you got Scott Snyder going Vertigo.
There you go again. The Scott Schneider. Shout out. Shout
I can't
ahead.
help it.
Who's
I
that?
got-
Mayor Quimby? Shout
I got
out.
a little more passion when I talk. Shout out. Damn it. I'm trying to say it. Shout out.
Anyways, yeah, go ahead.
Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder.
Scott Snyder working on a Vertigo book called The Wake, and give me this. Leave it there in the middle. We both see it. I'm like looking over your shoulder. Anyway, Scott Snyder working on a new Vertigo book called The Wake, which will be a 12-issue miniseries drawn by Sean Murphy, who is currently writing and drawing Vertigo's Punk Rock Jesus, which is another badass book. New customers have been coming in. What do you recommend? It's kind of not superhero-y. Punk Rock Jesus.
What's going on in that book?
The book Punk Rock Jesus is pretty much, it takes place in the year 2020, and they found a way to clone, make a clone from the DNA deprived of the original Jesus Christ. So, remember the movie The Truman Show with Jim Carrey, where it was always filming his life? It's like, picture that in a comic book, but instead of Jim Carrey, it's this little kid named Chris, who's supposed to grow up and become the savior. He's, the second coming of Christ, so to speak. And you have religious fanatic groups that support it, then you have those that think it's blasphemy and they're trying to shut the TV studio down. Now, while all this is going on, Chris's mother, well, his true mother, but they artificially inseminated her or whatever.
Yeah. So technically she is a virgin.
Exactly. She's there living with him, and she's starting to realize how warped the producer is and everything, and that they need to... Chris just needs to be free, and she has this bodyguard that watches over her and Chris. This Irish guy, dude, is like a walking monster house, like just Rambo on steroids. And everybody there knows the TV producer is really crooked, but it's just like, you know what? He's the producer. Who cares?
So is it like he's trying to steer?
So as each issue goes on, time has passed. So you see Chris, because it's only a 6-issue series. So you see Chris becoming a teenager and rebelling against the system, so to speak. It's really, really good. No ads, $2.99, black and white. It's just badass. But besides Scott Snyder and Sean Murphy doing the wake, we've also got Jeff Lemire. What are you doing?
You know when was the last time
Are you
held
tired?
notebook paper? It literally felt like I was carrying more than one sheet. Like, wow, this is very thick paper stock.
That's why I usually do this.
Yeah, okay.
The other book
I didn't read it before we started.
will be called Trillium, the last love story ever told. It's a 10-issue series, and from the description the Newsarama had on their site, it says will be written and painted by the double threat of Jeff Lemire. I'm like, well, how is it a double threat of Jeff Lemire? Like, I don't know, maybe I just kind of didn't understand it the right way that they meant it. I don't know, but that's what it said, painted and written by Jeff Lemire. And to go back to the previous one before you snatched the fucking book from me, The Wake by Scott Snyder, Sean Murphy, 12-issue series. It's a horror sci-fi story with post-apocalyptic
By the
elements.
One of Junior's best recommendations ever, Saga. That was a great read, man.
I told you.
That was a very, very good book.
That be some. Pound of potato.
That was a very good read.
I told you.
Super imaginative. I can't wait for the second volume.
Well, you're going to have to. That's a long way from now.
Yeah, when's it coming out?
The book went up to issue 6, I believe.
Yeah.
6 or 7. And they're taking a 2-month gap, and the next issue ships, I believe, in November.
Yeah. Saga, sci-fi fantasy, fantastic illustrations from the mind of, oh my god,
Brian K. Vaughan.
Brian K. Vaughan, thank you very much. I was going to say Stevie Ray Vaughan, which would have been totally a different person. Who's from Why the Last Man. It's a love story, but kind of like the anti-love story in the sense that the couple reacts and interacts as kind of real couples. The way real couples do. It's not like mushy. It's kind of like, they're in this struggle together, but at the same time, they have to deal with each other. So, it's a great read.
I'm glad to hear you say that, man.
The fantasy world that's presented to you is very imaginative. It's very original too.
TV sex people.
Something that if you're into more underground type comics, like if you're into like Love and Rockets, most things that come out of the Vertigo house, you're gonna enjoy that. And that's that plug. Thank you.
There you go.
Number 6.
And you guys don't understand how much this means to me, because David hardly buys anything.
I don't.
Not because he doesn't. He just doesn't. So he usually asks me, hey, what's going on? What's good? Is this good? Is that good? Should I read this? Should I read that? So last week,